Here.
Mr. Iden? Here. Mrs. Jones?
Here.
Mrs. Mazur?
Here.
Mr. Medlin?
Here.
All right. I'd like to welcome any visitors. We have our two people back there. Thanks for being here for us. We appreciate you. Let's stand for the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Mr. Hoffman, our technology report.
Good evening. I'm filling in for Mr. Schaefer for this meeting. So far, being the school year, most things have gone rather smoothly. You know what that means. So tonight I'm going to talk to you just a little bit about how we're supporting our ESL population students in our district using technology. Passed tonight, and we are at 25 as of tomorrow morning, if my number serves me correctly, of students who are non-native English speakers. So they speak a different language at their home. That poses a lot of challenges, is about the best word I can use at this point. And I've been here, this is the start of my 20th school year working for Hicksville schools, and I've never, ever seen a population growth in this community be so fast and so challenging. Some of the things we're doing in the technology department, we can set the computers so their operating system speaks the native language to them. They read it in their native language. That works for the Chromebooks, the MacBooks, the iOS devices. Some of the other things we use are Google Translate. Recently I was introduced to an application that's free and it works on older machines as well as newer iOS devices, and it's called Say Hi, and it allows them to speak into it and it instantly translates whatever you spoke, and they can speak into it and it instantly translates back, and it works very, very well. We also use Accelerated Reader and Star. Both of those are Spanish speaking. They can go both directions as well. It's been a challenge, but we're making good progress, and the principals are going to speak a little bit more about this in a moment.
I'm going to just chime in, I guess. That was about half my principal report today was on ELL students and some of the challenges that we have and kind of what we've been doing and how we've been handling it. He mentioned 25 ELL students, which is approximately the number we had last year. But the thing you got to keep in mind is they're not the same 25. They've shuffled in, they've shuffled out, and so every time that we have a different student come in, we have a whole new set of issues. If you guys remember last year, Jessica Saunders kind of came to us with this passion for language, not specifically any one language, but just languages in general and how to not too many middle school schedules and common activities for all of us. When these new students show up, and they just show up, a lot of worry, it affects the office, we have to start the entire enrollment process. It's called just an interpreter here, we're trying to get through everything. It takes some time to go through tradition. At that point, though, we have to say, hey, Saunders, here you go. And she has taken this position and this struggle has been awesome. When we get these new students, they have to be screened. They have to know exactly what amount of English that they know where they're at. And she has to give them a career test. So within 2 weeks of every sort of everything. So she's given all her training. She administers all of her languages. She sits down with her schedule and moves so well. And she creates a new schedule for everyone in the schedule. Their schedule looks like their teacher's pictures and where they need to be going and what bus number they need to be getting on. How you're going to get there. And walks them through their entire day with pictures. They don't speak a word of it. They don't understand anything that we're saying. She helps them so much by breaking that concept down. So they found curriculum for these students. These apps, this is a Say Hi app. I find myself using it daily. It's a simple way for people to I'm saying to them, they're able to push a button. They know that to me, and it's their language. Just communication. You then have to write ELL. essentially like an IEP for how we're going to get them caught up with the students. He writes all the DLL things for us. All of that is pretty much the law class, which is almost the way we do our things. All of them. She's been a huge help. She helps us navigate the day, the month.
So is it possible, so what's our grade level?
That's what I wondered.
And can you be a senior in high school and be an ELL student? I mean, is that possible? I didn't.
So these kids show up and understanding that the grade that they come from in Guatemala is not necessarily the grade that they are here. We had one the other day that was like, I'm a 7th grader, I'm a 7th grader. And so, all right, well, we created a 7th grade schedule for him. And in Guatemala, some of the birth certificates they're not universal. And so what we thought was the birth date was their social security number. But it's all in Spanish. I'm playing this game as
I wasn't in that meeting.
I can't.
Some of mine don't even have their birth dates on it, and they say they're 8 and they come in this tall, so.
So by the end of the day, I got to call Jeff and said, Jeff, that kid's a high schooler. And so it was nice to hang that one with Jeff. But so yeah, it depends on, most of ours are elementary students, but we do have a couple middle school and a couple,
I was gonna say about 17, I think, are 4th grade and under. So I mean, it's a little easier on our end. I mean, it's not easier, but we're able to plug them into at least some classes that I feel will help them. So we have, 3 3rd grade students that are brand new, and so they're actually going down to kindergarten phonics in the morning, but you have to watch that age gap. There can't be more than a 60-month gap. They're going to that, and then they're going to 1st grade math, and then we have some title people being able to pull them for 30 minutes to work with sight words. So, by then we're able to classes that are going to be beneficial. 4th grade, we have them go to 1st grade Wilson, where at least they're learning their blends and their letters and their sounds. 2nd grade math. So, I mean, we're trying.
grade-wise for the middle school and high school, because it's really hard to figure out what's appropriate. Like, what do you give that child? Because you're not giving them the same assignments that you're giving everybody else. We kind of move that way, we look at the credit, we look at all part of it. Give them, so that A, B, C, D, it's irrelevant. So that's kind of how we approach it with the 7th, 12th level.
Yeah, and another thing that's tough about it is, like they said, we're getting these kids in there and we're assuming that they are 15 or 16, 12 or 10 until we get the proper documentation. And at the high school level also, we're talking about graduation points and credits and all that kind of stuff, and it works a little differently. Once they are ELL, they take the ELL test. But it is a little difficult in between classes because at the high school it looks like you should be in at least algebra 1 your freshman year, geometry your sophomore year. Great. Now you're focusing in that house. So it's tough, but I think everyone's
Our high school students who work there, 8-hour job, that only is super high. He's working very
So
hard.
they say.
Putting a lot of time and effort.
And today we actually have Loretta Mendenhall's sister-in-law that is going to give us an hour and a half Monday through Thursday, just of her time, from 9 to 10:30, tutoring our third and fourth grade ESL students. We're at least fortunate enough to be able to keep the kindergarten or first grade pretty much in the classroom because they're getting all those books and all those plans. So it doesn't make sense to send them off to Jessica. They're going to get it in the classroom. So this is more geared towards our third grade and up who come in and have English
Thanks, Matt and everybody. All right. Okay, principal reports. Kirsten.
Elementary dismissal has been going very well. It's much safer and just more efficient. It's gone very, very well. So I'm very happy about that. September 20th, we have an author, Daniel Kirk, that will be coming in. He's an author of 40 children's books, and he's going to be coming in and doing a presentation for elementary students on Friday. Miss Rhoda Radish and I will be conducting auditions for the middle school musical Frozen Junior, which will take place on September 27th and September 30th. We have an audition packet that will be going home with the students tomorrow. And there's different time sessions that they can sign up for. And that needs to be turned in by the 25th. I'll be doing that production at the Hubert November 22nd through the 24th.
All right.
I'm going to talk just quickly or briefly, I guess, about the report card, which came out this last week. We spent a lot of time and effort when it comes to all those state tests at the end of the school year. This is kind of achievement and a B overall. We're actually pretty proud of that grade. You'll look around Northwest Ohio and you're not going to find very often. So he is a very, very good grade. He's at 19 on 24. Two Peters come from casting, attendance, some of those we're not the indicator for each test that students take is that there's going to be 8% passes that test. So what happens is these kids take this test, we have students scored. Higher because more points, slightly down past year, but very proud of our students, very proud of what they were able to accomplish. So the other thing that we do with this, or we take from this, is those tests are kind of 90% of the grade out grade. With different So we take this data and we break it down every which way that you could possibly imagine. And our goal is to I like data, I like to break it down myself. So I always create this spreadsheet for no other purpose than I like to do. And that's, I was showing it to you today, we talk about it. So I did, pull up the preview here, yeah. I did print off, this is just my own little game I play. On Friday night.
Thank
So when I kind of created or throw this up here, this is just for my own satisfaction, but color coordinated, what I like to do is compare us to Northwest Ohio. Compare us to the state of Ohio, there's small school districts, but there's big school districts. I don't think that's fair. So I compare us to what I think is people in Northwest Ohio that are similar to us. And I run and race and look up everyone's report card and compare all of our scores across each one of these. And then I throw them all in, and I want to compare how we did and how we're doing. And then to make it easy for me, I color coordinate. If we're red, that means we beat the school. If we're gray, we lost. White, we tied. And that way I can just look at it and say, is there more red? Is there more gray? Is there more white? Yeah.
So is it like each,
This is 2018 and 19. This is the
Okay.
year before, 17, 18.
Okay, there
and
we
the year
go.
16, 17.
Sorry, I wasn't
And so
catching the
I just threw
dates.
out 3 here for you.
Yep.
I think I have 5 years worth of data that I kind of looked at. And just to kind of explain some of what we do as an admin team with it. 86% is passing the ELA. And then here, we're 50% of the schools we lost. In our comparison, we were 3% higher than the schools we lost. So I'm okay with that. And the other thing I do, good or bad or indifferent, we tend to have one teacher that teaches all of our higher customers. See how they do it. And so I see that we're 50% pass up. So if you scroll up to the year before, and come to the meeting, 80%. I go to the year above that, and I realize we beat every single year. So I'm not too concerned with that teacher. I'm not too concerned with what they're doing. My guess is that that's that group that that's great. That's the most difficult. Well, I know that I knew that going in, but I feel very comfortable looking at some of that. I'm looking at some of those numbers saying, hey, we're really good with that. So we kind of do a lot with trends. We look at, groups that are in 7th grade ELA, how do they do in 8th grade? Group to group. How do they compare Northwest Ohio? And so if you really look at it, I don't have 3rd and 4th grade. I spend more time on that middle school. You can see that middle school has a lot of red. Those people that you can go around and you can look at our scores. 13% higher than Northwest Ohio in science. Math, 15% higher. 8th grade ELA, 17% higher. 21% higher than the average of Northwest Ohio. 6th grade math, 9%. 8th grade ELA, 4. 5th grade science, 9. 6th grade math, 15. 5th grade ELA, 16. So just a real quick, very, very interesting middle school after how we did. We do so well. Other schools do the exact same thing that we're doing here. They're all looking at this data. I've had 6 schools reach out to me last month that want to talk to Mike Baldwin and Taylor. So we're actually going to have a day next week where we're going to open up the classrooms and allow 5 or 6 teachers to see what those 2 are doing. Because their scores each and every year is dominant. Other schools are looking at that, and that's what we do. And just kind of a fun little on Mike Altman first. Mike Altman in 5th grade math last year was beaten by everyone. They've gotten him now. And I walked by the classroom the other day, and they were doing a breakdown, beat Evergreen on 3, because that is the goal. We want to beat every school in Northwest Ohio, and they were doing that breakdown. So our teachers are and they see these scores too, and they know how they're doing in comparison to other people. And I guess I wanted to touch on, sometimes we look at, for example, 6th grade ELA. And we haven't passed 6th grade ELA the last 2 years before we started the class. Immediately after the X, the check, that's upsetting. And I pace back and forth. The teacher texts me all summer, oh my gosh, you're everywhere. Relax, breathe. We're going to go enjoy your summer. We'll talk about it when we get back. And if you look at it, 6th grade ELA, we beat over half the schools. We're the top third of the school today. We're the top third of the school. breathe a little bit. One, that's that. So we have those kinds of conversations, all that kind of data. When we see how we're doing, we compare ourselves, not only the state, but to everybody around us. And like I said, very pleased with our overall report card and how we did.
Got a question.
Yeah.
This is awesome. Great data, great engagement. This data to drive, or are you using this data to drive any kind of improvement plans?
Absolutely. So, like, we have our 2-hour delay, and I was going to get there, I forgot. Our 2-hour in-service coming up Wednesday, and that will be where we sit down with all these teachers, and our person from the ESC, Josh Clark, has put together a folder on for every single tested teacher with their data, and it actually breaks down not just the score, but how every single kid that they taught did. It breaks down every standard that teacher teaches and whether they hit that standard or they didn't hit that standard. And then it goes further, so every kid, it's not just about whether they passed that test or they didn't pass that test. You see a lot of the same tests, like 6th grade ELA, 7th grade ELA, how much did they grow? And it actually rates every kid on how much did they grow, average year, grow. And so we're looking at every kid saying, did that kid grow a whole year or did they not? Because like the state set a target goal for whether they think that kid reached. And that target's different for every kid based on how they have done on all of their testing. It's called value added. And so it's kind of a moving target. As a teacher, you're almost, the better you do, the harder it is to hit this score. It sounds crazy. So because Mike Altman is so good at 5th grade math, poor Heather Taylor is trying to chase that. Right? And even though her scores does crush everybody, her value added to it is great. But it's all, if they just push it around, then they'd be able to his scores have done so well that they take a target for her to hit. She's got to hit that. She breaks down all of that.
One thing to remember too is like these scores we're trying to achieve, like Heather Taylor, you can score a limited or a basic. It'll take 400. That's what's so funny about it is all this grade here, for graders here, they can improve overall, but if your value added to the individual may not be that growth. It is funny moving on. And you asked about the data that you try to do. I can't avoid the elephant in the room on this, okay? Is I know that there's a certain column here that does not look good, okay? And that's what the things about being in a school our size is. And our teachers our non-tested teachers are starting to catch on to it because sometimes they're like, why are you so stressed out about testing? All of our teachers are kind of being held to different standards now. So you have your non-tested area teachers, you have your elective teachers, you have your teachers that are in the tested area. In a school our size, we have one freshman English teacher. And if your column looks like this, that's not going to be, it stands out. And they know that when we talk to them. And that's what we say, take a deep breath, there's opportunity. You know, for example, we passed here. Last year, we see all that grade, we passed, but unfortunately, we're below the average of the state, okay? And then we come into this year, we didn't pass, and we were almost 6 points behind the average here. So that's a focal point for us. And then, like he said, what we do is we look at, well, how these kids scored 8th grade. Okay, next year, how did they score their sophomore year? Of course, we look at this. English 1 last year, scored an 81. We were almost 2 points below the average. Same kids as sophomores this year, ELA 2, increased by almost 11 points competitively. So, I mean, if you have a group of kids that continuously struggle, you know, you can see those trends. We also see a trend there where, okay, what are we missing? And it's not just the teachers, all of us as admin teams, we all take responsibility. What do we have to do? What are we missing? How are we going to improve that? Our scores, geometry, the score indicators we didn't pass. Geometry, ELA 1, 6th grade, and 3rd grade math. Okay. Our geometry scores here, again, we're 11 points higher than the state average, the average in school. We're doing great. You know, unfortunately, we didn't meet that one. Our biology scores, we scored an 89% efficiency rate. And we're above the average compared to everybody else. They did really well. see scores here, schools our size, that's 1 or 2 kids. That's it. And sometimes our kids count for 2.5%, 3% per kid that we're missing by. So when we're talking about passing scores, getting scores, we're talking about just 2 to 3 kids sometimes to go from a non-passing to a passing score. I have to give a shout out to this guy, Dave Blue, Mr. Dave Blue. 5 years ago when we started this, we actually scored a 63% in government, which was 25 points below the average score in Northwest Ohio for the government test. And then, oh yeah, slide that way. You can't scroll that way? Okay, it's on here. Dave Blue now is in like the top 10% in Northwest Ohio for his kids. Every year these numbers are going to grow. And that's, you have to begin taking it seriously and making the adjustments and doing a great job. So, you know, the data, we do crunch it, we do use it. We see where we're at fault, we see where there's places where we don't have a whole lot of control.
We have, call them data dives then. So this is kind of the initial kickoff because of the very first, we got this information last week. And then, like I said, what we do is have this initial dive in, and then throughout the school year, once more information, the value added reports don't come out until November. At that point, our teachers will usually spend about a half a day that we sit down with them, and Mr. Clark breaks down that data with them individually or in small groups to explain to every kid and their strengths and their weaknesses. And like some people do really well, they pass the test, but that top, because it breaks down every group of kids, that top group of kids we need to get a little bit better because that's a weakness. Or maybe that bottom kids, we're just not hitting them, so that teacher's kind of going, okay, what strategies do I need to use in my classroom that's going to push that bottom group a little bit better? So we do a lot with that data.
Yeah, it's easier here. I think you're pulling this up. I guess about Dave Blue. 5 years ago, we scored a 63%. Now we're up to a 92%. And I think like our American history score, 91.3% of passing. That's awesome. And I think we're about mid, right in the middle there. So if one more kid passes that, we jump up into the top like 50%. You know, because again, one kid here was like 5% or something like that, and 1 or 2% points each way. It doesn't matter that much. So. And then to me, an indicator, by the way, did you mention this? You have to have at least 10 kids take a test as an indicator. So there's actually more indicators, like math 1, math 2, specificity, no count, because we don't have 10 kids taking math 1 or 10 kids taking math 2. They still take the test for their individual scores, graduation points, but they don't count as an indicator against their school district.
So you guys get named.
Not getting. Okay. We plan this. Gotcha.
Yeah, that's
It's a game, and we plan that. We don't allow those classes to be able to test. And keep in mind, it's not just those classes. There's people who are in our school district who we are in charge of that are in science, or that are in the science college, or that are they're all over the place. So we really try hard to not let that number hit.
I think one time we had to really recognize, like this year, I think we had 3 kids in math 1, 2 in math 2, so it's not a big deal. But there was 1 year, I think 2 years ago, where we were at that 8-9 range. We were really paying attention to that's into that, to the additional help, tutoring, stuff like that. I think that's kind of why it's helped in the past. We're talking about kids, math 1, math 2 are your special ed number tests, and they struggle past that.
I have a question. It's not really about middle school, but it's about the report card. You want to talk now or come back later?
Success?
Yes.
Yeah, success. Okay. So you want to pull up our prepared success? This is a really fun one for me because after this morning we had another school. There are some small opportunities that we have to improve, but we have to remember that. Okay, so here's our prepared success. So if you want to click on view more data, we got an F here. There's only, I think, 1 school or 2 schools in Northwest Ohio that's a C. Everybody else is being an F. Okay? And the way it works is, these are the 2 important columns here to earn points. And remember, this data is 2 and 3 years old. Okay? So this isn't last year's data. This is you're tracking kids that graduated in 17 and 18, not kids that graduated in 19. So, first things first, ACT, you see we're not doing very well in that. Participation rate, we haven't figured this one out yet, but we pulled a bunch of different schools. No one did 100%, but everyone in your school that's not AA, which is alternate assessment, has to take the ACT. So every school we picked up was in the 70s, some are in the 80s, and we have not been able to figure that out yet. Don't know why. So, these are the kids taking it. Remediation 3 score is 22.1. That means 22% of our 74.5% of the kids who took it scored high enough on the ACT where there's no remediation needed to go to college. Okay, so that's a good score. Is it like a 19? I think it's a 19 and or 18 in reading.
18 to 20.
And like 22 in math, 22 in science, something like that. Now, what's funny about this is, 2 years ago, the state's now requiring every junior to take this test. So if you've seen our ACT scores across the board, they've dropped by about 1.5 at Hicksville. Well, we also have an 18.5% special education rate. So all our sped kids are required to take it. So when, it's not the blame game, but I'm just telling you right now that our ACT scores as a district have dropped because we used to only have about 45 kids take the ACT. Now we have 70 kids taking the ACT. And these are kids that typically wouldn't take it. They're now all taking it. And again, when a lot of those kids are being fed, it's kind of, I hate to say it, but it does water down the scores a little bit. So we're struggling with this score here. Now, opportunity on the other end, we've been discussing this. Do we look into developing an ACT preparatory course? We have been throwing that around, especially after last year's Prepare for Success and this year's Prepare for Success. We're being told that potentially in 2 years, the state's not going to require us to do the ACT anymore. We're all juniors. I don't know if that's 100% true or not. They're already going to change that. So do we want to go in and create a brand new curriculum course, assign a teacher, and then pull away from the juniors after the rest of that time? So we're kind of waiting. We've got a few more months here to start scheduling. In December, we start scheduling for next year. So we'll see on the opportunities for improve the ACT. If it's going to stick with us for the long run, we'll definitely look into that to try to improve our scores. Second item are these bonus points. And this is where it's kind of irritating, to say the least. For example, we have no bonus points because really no one takes the SAT anymore. The honors diploma piece, as you can see, we did have a few honors diplomas coming out. And if you recognize credentials, those are kids that are going to Fort County Career Center. And of course, AP, we offer one AP course. Okay, and that's AP European History, and it's an enrollment usually between 5 to 8 kids. We used to offer AP English. So this is English here. So this number right here actually represents her last AP course. We graduated in class of 17, I believe. And John Davis's European history. That's where that number's coming from. Next year, those will drop off, and that's going to really drop. Okay. Now, why is that? Again, see, that's a reporting error we can't do because that's an easy reporting error. We clean that up, correct Matt. Remember we had that discussion. Our guidance counselors getting scores and understand these certification. We didn't know. We figured that out. Bring it to 2019, so I was fixed. But we know we have kids passing this, so that should go up. Again, this is data from 2 years ago. Okay. But this is going to go down no matter what. Okay. Because we hired a English teacher that does CCP, College Comp 1, College Comp 2. And that's where these kids are starting to come from. Okay. Now again, some of these kids are reported from APT. Some of those kids are reported from kids who graduated 2 years ago that took college at plus course. That number should go up because of our Comp 1, Comp 2. But the problem is, as soon as you take 6 or more credits, I believe, you only count, or 3 more credits, we count 1. So we have like 20 kids Comp 1. So the same 20 kids take Comp 2. They only count as 20 kids. They don't count as 40 kids. Even though it's 2 separate classes, they still count as 1 student taking 3 or more credits. Okay. So that number there kind of kills us because, in all honesty, if you were like Fairview, Walsall, and Evergreen, places like that, right next to the finest college in North State, Toledo, their scores here are 50 higher than ours because of acceptability. So there's more opportunity for those kids to take what we don't campus. We don't put a lot all around the college at once. We'd rather have our teachers classes here. We're actually meeting on Wednesday for a 2-hour in-service, and we're going to be discussing, we'll talk about, hey, listen, if anyone has any interest in getting a master's in their, content area, we would really like the opportunity to talk about maybe becoming an adjunct professor hate to say it this way, AP stuff, you take that class for a year, and you gotta take a test, you only let 20% of the kids pass that test and get the college credit. College credit plus classes, okay? And I say that because only about 2 or 3 kids every year score well on that. College credit plus classes, kids take it for a semester, they pass it, and those credits go from Toledo to them. They automatically earn them. It's a better way to do it. We're looking to increase the number of teachers that can potentially offer that opportunity. When we have new hires in high school, I'm not gonna lie to you, when we hired Andy Hagan, I flat out said, I'm looking for a teacher to teach college level classes for a reason. If in the next 3 to 5 years, if Dave Blue retires, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna be looking for someone who can teach some college courses there. If we have a math teacher who's willing to go back and get something, I'm gonna be very supportive of that because I don't want money for kids here. You're funding here too, remember that. We keep a lot of that funding piece. So there is an opportunity to increase the dual credit piece, and that'll help. Now, another thing where we kind of get screwed on is this college ready piece, and this definitely does not help us, and it irritates the heck out of me. It's because if you read this line here, the University System of Ohio provides district reports on enrollment and remediation of high school graduates attending in-state public colleges and universities. So any kid from Hicksville that goes to Defiance College doesn't count. Bluffton doesn't count. Oh, by the way, don't we live right next to Fort Wayne? Every kid that goes to IPFW, Ivy Tech, Indiana Tech, Prime, most of our kids do, they don't count these numbers. So,
One of my questions was going to be, where do they get these numbers? So you're saying out of 100 students who graduate, 50 of them, go to IPFW or Defiance College or whatnot. We can only, at max, score 50%? If the other 50 go to
that's the
Toledo?
part is, and he knows this through the EMIS piece, all the universities across the state line, they don't pull any data from them, so they're irrelevant. It doesn't help us, it actually just hurts us that they go across state line to go to school.
So they're essentially counted as 0
Yeah.
in our score. I mean,
Like if a student doesn't go to college after school, that would be a 0. And a student who attends private, non-public, or out of state is a 0. So we're really crippled.
And if you pull the prepared success scores for all schools in Ohio, it's F's and D's. And I'm going to tell you right now, the schools that are scoring D's, most of them have a lot of AP courses, or they are very close to colleges where kids are taking. I mean, like I said, you go Andy Hunter went to Washington. Andy Hunter, did you step foot in your high school your senior year? Never stepped foot in his high school unless he was playing a sport. He took all his classes online, or not online, online or on a college campus. Those schools that are scoring a little bit better have more opportunities like that. We're not doing that.
so my other question, like we just had at the last meeting APT there. We've had FWT, we had Sauter come in, I saw on Facebook. So we're preparing these students to be workforce ready. And where does that account?
And that's why 90% of your schools get out for success.
So we get no credit for being, what's the term, readiness?
College ready, I mean, what is it, scroll up here?
Prepared for success. It doesn't say prepared for college success. So prepared for success gives no credit at all
And
for
it even
workforce ready.
highlights technical field, but apparently.
Yeah, if a student goes to the military, goes into the workforce,
Federally it counts against us.
No offense, but I don't even pay attention to that score. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I just went last year
Absolutely
on this.
ridiculous.
My dad. He was holding me accountable for it, so.
Tell him to call me.
The prepared for success, it doesn't cost us anything, it's just a black eye.
It's a reputation. When people look on, are we going to bring our kids to Hicksville? Oh, they're not prepared for success.
It's a black
That's
eye for
ridiculous.
everyone to look this up. Now, I will say this, and I know this is on live TV and all stuff, I want to say it anyway. I get irritated every year, and I don't know if it's a communication thing or not, but again, Defiance Press and Paper did a much better job this year with how they presented information. The last couple of years, they just threw everybody's data on there, kind of a little hard on schools. This year, they did not put a chart of scores and stuff, but Hicksville got about 5 words in there. It said, oh, by the way, Hicksville is a B school, and that was the highest in our county and one of the highest in Ohio. But outside of that, they spoke to the other county schools and the other schools in the surrounding area. So, again, not that I want to brag and say we're best moving with this, but, you know, we're still doing a lot of things that are right.
Absolutely.
We know there's things you can improve on, when we're looking at them. But it's also irritating when we talk about playing the game. There are some parts of the game that we're not allowed to play.
I just think it's so extremely frustrating. Yes, we want our kids to be ready for college, but we also recognize that we want them to be ready for the workforce as well, if that's what they choose. And to have no real good representation there for that, when the workforce is screaming for it.
I think that's something,
it's
any chance you
frustrating.
get to talk to our legislators, we need to talk to them about it. I mean, it's a black eye for the whole state of Ohio.
Absolutely.
Well, I
If
mean,
it comes out that 80% of our state is flunking, our people are not 80% flunking.
Not at all.
And our legislators have set us up for this. And then when we want to bring in employment into our state, why would somebody want to bring a big company in the state of Ohio? Nobody's prepared.
I
Well,
mean, our state doesn't recognize it.
That's why I asked about the funding piece, because that's what, that's gonna incentivize this behavior, right? And there's no incentive.
Mr. Hunter, did Josh Clark have anything about the sheriff's success with the recommended one? We had a meeting about that today. I mean, he's usually a pretty intelligent guy. He's part of like a legislative committee who goes down along with, I'm on the OESA, I was secondary school district legislative team down there. But, it is, again, like I said, it takes time to get up in the area, almost every year and a half. And the biggest difference maker, I mean, to me, typically, they have more opportunity here in this area. And I know that some schools did a little bit better up here, but I see a lot of, I guess, difference in numbers in this area here. Credit in the, out of the Hills website. They've got like, 50% of their kids are taking AP courses and 50% of their kids are taking college credit plus courses. That's why they're so high. And granted, they're in a neighborhood where they have 0% sped rate, and they have, so you think about the AP score rate, those are a lot higher. You have 0% sped kids. If you look at their socioeconomic or the demographics, again, they have no poverty. That all matters in that. And that's why those schools score so well. And that's why, like last year, when the state threw in the demographic piece, socioeconomics, why we went from being, we're still good, remember that, we're still really good. That's why we vaulted to the top, and we're number 3 school in the state. Because we start going in sped rates and the demographic piece. We're saying, how the heck do you get to that?
Speaking of that, one last thing. One of the best parts of this last year is the gap closing the population. Gap closing, go ahead. Gap closing identifies the most at-risk population of every school. That at-risk population may come from socioeconomic, it may come from special education, it may come from languages, minority groups. That is identified in these subgroups. It's like, hey, this is your most at-risk population that you have guaranteed. Non-white students, students with disabilities, students that are Hispanic, medical disadvantage, and the state just makes up these targets, the red dots there. We crush every single one of those. And so, again, 100% of our groups who are with that risk kids, that we are helping to really stand out.
One of the items to make you aware of, I spoke about last year, and this year, for our Canadian graduation rate. One of our big exceptions down in Columbus was eligible students. I will say this, we've seen where, you know, it starts a whole nother conversation, you know, about transients that every district deals with, and how do we combat that? Well, we're gonna deal with it. It's in your district.
And how the poverty rate and what
Right.
transient students you get.
Yep.
So go back one to the, I would just like to again say that prepared for success is just ridiculous. We have an F there, but our graduation rate is an A.
I mean, I think there's some
It's-
components there that's important, like ACT. I think that's important. And, you know,
But the overall, how they come up with,
yeah, I agree.
it's just ridiculous.
You know, we talked about doing the ACT preparedness class, and now this was several years ago, and you look at the schools that's last listed, you know, on here, and there's not one time that they beat us on any of our scores, but yet that same school a few years ago, their ACT was like way higher than ours. And, you know, I think there's like two parts. This is obviously the most important part, but the other part is the ACT and the amount of scholarships that are tied to it. You know, if we had, in my opinion, you know, to add some type of a class to do something to help get that score up,
But if you
I would
remember
be
though,
very
I don't
supportive
know,
of it.
because
What's
like
that?
you
The
said,
When you talk about the ACT score, I want to go back two things, two parts.
Sure.
Part one, you talked about comparison of the districts a few years ago. Our ACT scores were just as good as anybody's a few years ago. But you gotta remember, a lot of the schools around us, you have to go all the way to Lucas County, which is Toledo, to find a higher sped population than what we have here. Okay? And I mean, when you compare us to, you know, even Antwerp, Edgerton, Fairview, places like that, I think most of those schools are single digit sped, and we're 17. It's not a blame game, I'm just saying, and that factors in on why those scores have dropped, you know, in my opinion. And then the ACT piece of offering the class, I agree. We talked about I'm the person to do it, number one, okay? And you've already got a lot of our teachers are already in those tested areas, and now you're gonna put another tested, I guess, subject or content area on them. You have to be careful on that, because our teachers, they take their job very seriously. They're very competitive. They want to do well. I don't want to overwhelm them sometimes, so it's interesting, some of the conversations we've had about that testing.
I would go so far as to say you really don't need to have a class to teach somebody how to take a test if they're learning the content day in and day out, which I think they are.
well, kind of though, Galen, from an educator's perspective, yeah, you kind of do have to teach them how to take tests, because there are some kids who have no idea. They cannot compose themselves when I give them a time limit, and I'm sure it happens with all of us that do that, they freak out. And so the ACT is like triple freak out time for most of those kids, because their test anxiety goes way up, because if there are teachers who do not say, okay, you have to take this quiz I'm giving you, you only have 20 minutes. You have to be able in some way, shape, or form to teach kids how to take the test, whatever your content may be. I think that, yes, I do. I think that there should,
The thing is, I'm worried about.
but he has shortage of staff. I mean, his staff, they all teach classes. It's not, this is a small school, and in some ways that handicaps what they can do with their educators.
And you know, and again, we talk about this all the time, our staffing we have here is to give the best possible education to our students. You know, we took a teacher, Jessica Saunders, and moved her into almost an ELL, you know, or ESL teacher position. You know, we were looking at statistics, and we have a lot of sped teachers, you know, but we have a lot of sped teachers for a reason, because we want a quality education for these kids. We want to do compliance. You know, there's opportunity there to make some adjustments, but compliance is one thing, you know, quality of education is another, and that's why we have more sped teachers. Number one, we have a high population, but number two, we want it to be a quality of education, not just, hey, let's hire someone, give them 36 IEPs to write, and that's all they do is write AAPs, and they don't teach you. We want them to co-teach, we want them to have tutoring period, we want them to be supportive, you know, of these students, so.
So we essentially have two groups of people. We have those who the ACT matters after graduation, and those that the ACT score doesn't really matter after graduation. So do you feel like, because we're now forced by the state that everybody across the board has to take it, including those who it doesn't really matter after graduation, do you feel like those that need it and those that are tied to scholarship, and I totally agree, need that class? Do you feel like, I mean,
I think those that truly need it probably won't take it. Those kids that truly care and want to do the best they can are the ones that are going to take it. So the rich get richer, in my opinion, on that piece. I think the kids that truly would need it to help us benefit from that.
see, and that's, to me, that's not what's important, because like I said, you know, you have that group of kids who after high school
And
are
how
not
many-
going to think about
how many people
ACT
called me about
again.
this stuff last year? One grumpy old man. Sorry, Dad. One, he was released, he called me that day. And he couldn't believe that we got that. What are we doing wrong? And I explained to him, he goes, oh, okay, that makes sense, but that's just stupid. Well, yeah, sorry.
And the school you were talking about, that we they were less than 2%. So, and they had a cohort of a third of ours, and they were 2% higher. So basically one kid. Higher. I mean, just so you kind of have.
And that's,
the-
and that's for
Yeah,
our
that's good
schools on this
perspective.
list. If you look at these points, most of these schools, we're all separated by 2-3 points at the most. That's 1 or 2 kids. And each school is doing better than the other school. Like our biology school, we were at 89. We were less than a point lower than the average. Yet, they beat by 3 points. Not 1 point. We rock. 1 point, 2 points. Or the 6 or 7 points. So, yeah, like I said, it's a game. We're all trying to figure out this game, and we don't want to put additional stress on people or provide, like in the ACT course, believe me, I think about that, and as, I mean, not just as the principal of high school, but even as a dad. I mean, I want my kid to do the best that they can, and I know that my kid would take it. Does she need it? Probably not, but she'll take it to score that 1 point higher. You know, where the kids that we really need, that middle school, our biggest group, a lot of them to take that course, and now they make it hungry, so we can be better for this.
To me, it's not, I'm not that concerned about that. To me, it's more about, you know, the kid that wants to improve their score and do a little bit better. Because, you know, if I know I'm not going to college, I'm not taking an ACT class. I'm not
Exactly.
real concerned about, you know, the school getting a little better grade if I'm a kid. You know, we offer like a weekend ACT class that we get about 5 kids at.
That's what I was gonna say. We do big classes, we build together, we put out all kinds of options. We look at how many students come up. We're gonna be paying a teacher for a period, when you break down how much we're paying for that teacher for an entire period, if we have 5 kids sign up, it's a cost-effective way to utilize that teacher for the period. Or are we better off getting a class where we have 15? Those are kind of arguments and things that admin can look at.
That's because our elective teachers and our core content area teachers, because I want to offer an anatomy physiology is only going to have 7 kids. I want to offer Chem 2, which is going to have 5 or 6 kids. Okay? And I think of course, because I have an elective that only has 8 kids sign up. I don't want to keep that elective because I have to have 6 kids. You know, and 8 kids is not cost doesn't make any sense. And then you have to keep in mind too, some days or some years, you know, 6 kids in a Chem 2 class, that may be a large percentage of the, I mean, if there's 50 kids that stay behind from 4 County here, that's over 10% of our kids in one class. That's a lot more than you can imagine in the senior class. So, again, we try to make these decisions based on what's best for, you know, for the students, the staff, the district. Sometimes, like I said, yeah.
You know, we tend to concentrate on the negative. You guys did awesome. I mean, you really
You did
did.
really
You know,
absolutely.
everybody needs to be really proud of them.
And you can tell your dad that your graduation rate went to be doing that. You did. Great job to the teachers and you guys.
Okay, anything else? Jeff, have you done a principal's report yet?
Well,
Nope, okay.
Real quick here, and then we'll be fast. Hey, testing stuff is fun, isn't it? Okay, past events, of course, great start to the admin team, tech department, everyone, I mean, the teachers have been great, kids have been great, families like to occasionally talk about, the OHSAA, the regional meetings we go to, we just had ours. Primarily when we go to these meetings, a lot of updates are going. And again, for about the 6th straight year in a row, it's all about competitive balance and student transfers. It's really becoming a major battle. We don't notice it as much in Northwest Ohio as you do in the big cities, the suburbs, and the urban areas, but we're starting to see some of that even around here now with all the loopholes and people trying to find a way to let their kid go anywhere they want to play sports. And then, of course, the competitive balance piece is based on the fact that I believe roughly 16% of the schools in Ohio are private schools. Yet last year, the year before, I think they did a 2-year look back, I think they won like 44 or 46% of the state championships. And of course, that's based on participation rates and also like choice of where you want to go to school. So they're looking into it and trying to balance that out. Northwest Ohio Student Research Conference, that's been going on, I believe, like 33 years. I'm on the board for that, and when I started as a principal here, I want to say there were 11 members of the board, mostly administrators from Northwest Ohio, Scott, Science College, full-time and all that fun stuff. There's been so much turnover and change in all these administrative positions. We're down to 3 members, and we took it upon ourselves to approach Science College and ask them if they wanted to be, I guess, if they wanted to take it on as a Defiance College program and allow us to be board members on the Northwest Conference. And 2 benefits. Number one, time. People won't volunteer because of a significant amount of time spending at their school trying to work. So they don't want to invest all the time in that, so we're having a hard time being volunteers. Then the second thing is it's financial. It's a burden now. Defiance Colleges has some changes. They have different vendors that they're mandated or required to use. We used to order pizza from, like, say, Marco's Pizza, and we pay $6 a pizza. Well, now we're required to use Defiance College's vendor, and then we charge like $16 a pizza. And we can't afford it to feed all these kids and to pay for tables and chairs to be set and all this stuff. So if they take it over, they can absorb that cost and all that fun stuff. And then we're going to restructure them so that all 300 kids that attend from Northwest Ohio, they actually will be required to explore the campus and get advertising. And that is a win-win, actually. I'm going to make sure to call a few people that I know that started this program and let them know that we didn't give up on it. It's time for a change. But again, the Northwest Ohio Student Conference will happen. It's just going to be under Defiance College's watch now. Future events, homecoming parade. That's this Friday, September 20th. It will leave the fairgrounds at 5:45. It will arrive at Aces Field around 6:15. And of course, the homecoming dance on Saturday, September 21st, beginning at 18 in the Commons. And then, of course, talk about testing. District testing updates for this year already. We've met as a committee and a group. We're starting the process for a third-degree guarantee. We're also looking at testing retakes and of course, assessments for high school kids that will retake later this fall to hopefully improve scores and points. It's never ending really when you think about the testing piece and the preparation and all that fun stuff. And we're working with Fort County Career Center to see who needs to retest out there.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right, Fort County Career, I didn't hear anything from Denny today, but they're not meeting until this Thursday. And they're meeting here in Hicksville at Denny's Art Solutions, and he's going to give a tour of the plant and some demonstrations, and then they're having dinner and a meeting there. So, if you would like to go, I think it's at 6 o'clock Thursday night. And I already made one reservation.
This Thursday.
If anyone would like to go. And he said there was room for extras.
Since we have the one, and I can't make it, Mindy can't make it now, so if anybody can go, that'd be great to represent the school.
He's doing some demonstration with robotics, so it sounded awesome. Yeah. So their meeting is this Thursday. Okay, Superintendent's Report, Keith.
Yes, I'll start off with the bid for the drive, so we'll get an update on that. As you know, the bid posting happened, and we were to get bids and then open them up for the drive. We were going to start with the drive first. Well, unfortunately, we didn't get any bids for the drive. So there's a couple concerns. Before we ever bid it out, we were a little bit cautious or concerned about the asphalt companies closing before, due to the weather. So, but we tried. And so the posting happened, and one company that we thought was going to bid actually had the wrong day. They thought the closing was on Friday, not Tuesday, so they missed the deadline. So the process that we'd have to go through if we wanted to do that is we'd have to post it again, go through the whole process again. We'd be pushed out another 2-3 weeks at least, probably more like a month, because you have to post it for 2 weeks and then collect for a week. So yeah, we'd be looking too late. There's no way they could get it started this fall. And in talking to Rod from Fanning and Howie, it actually might be an advantage for us anyhow, because when you look at he said, a lot of people may not have bid on it because it's a small project. I'm like, what? And he goes, yeah, that drive out there is not really that big of a project for some of those big companies. So if we incorporate the drive with the service drive and all the other asphalting that's going to be done with the entire project, you would probably get more people to bid for that job, and you'd probably get a better price, because they wouldn't have to bring the large equipment and stuff to the school 2 different times. So, long story short, we're not going to rebid it. The drive will not get started this fall. I apologize to the community, but it's just beyond our control. It will get lumped in with the entire project. It will still happen, but it's going to be later than what we had anticipated. So the timeline that we're looking at now is for the entire project, it'll probably go out to bid in December, January, somewhere in that area, and we'll probably open up bids in February. And then for the entire project, the drive and the complex out back, all of it. And then when the weather breaks in the spring, the entire project would get started. So another advantage that we thought about that, and I first want to say that, the way we're doing the pickup for elementary has gotten all the traffic off of Route 2. So we don't have cars sitting on Route 2 anymore, which is a great thing. That was a big concern of ours. And the traffic is what it is. We've dealt with it for 10 years, the community has, and we're going to have to do it for another year until this process is done. But I think it'll be a good thing, because when they put the drive in, another thing the architect said is that if we put the drive in out to 18, just the gravel part, the base, then all the work trucks can drive on that for several months while the construction's taking place. We can fence off that whole thing so that nobody goes out that way. And he said it'll actually pack your base down even better and give you a better road, better drive. So there's positives and negatives. The negative is it's not going to be there this fall, but the positive is we might end up with a better product by waiting.
Possibly cheaper.
And possibly cheaper, right.
I think the big thing is, when we rolled out the whole levy, our goal was before school started and got kicked till fall. And obviously this isn't anybody's fault. Nobody bid on it. And I think that's the message we need to make sure that we're spreading is, we put it out for bid and we didn't get a single company that bid on it. Right. And that's unfortunate, but I don't want to lose the public,
trust.
Yeah, their trust.
Right.
And I think that's why we need to get that out so people understand, hey, what we're trying to do was just, we've hit a few.
And I think it's important to note, Craig, that, I don't think that it's because people didn't want to bid on the project. I think they didn't want to bid on the project because they're concerned about the timeline of getting it completed before November, when the asphalt companies typically shut down for the year. So that probably kept a lot of companies from even considering.
I think too, the rain that we've had this year may have put
Right.
paving companies behind already.
Right.
So that might have led to not bidding on it.
Right.
Being behind projects already.
Any other questions on that part, that bid part? Okay, opening day for our teachers was a great success. One thing that I wanted to mention, thank you, Andy, for the ideas. We took our teachers on a tour of Hicksville. I've had 2 buses out back, and I had put together a tour with the admin team of where all we wanted to go. And then we talked about talking points that we thought were important. I put Jeff as one of the tour guides on one of the buses, and myself. And the purpose wasn't to point out, good, bad areas of town, but it was more to give our teachers an understanding of where all our kids are coming from, the different homes, the different neighborhoods, to maybe give them a better understanding, because one of the things that we're kind of focusing on this year is building relationships with the kids, and we thought it would be a good idea for the teachers to understand where our kids are coming from. So it was a good success. I heard a lot of good comments from people, from teachers that went. They were thankful that I did that. The bus routes are running pretty smooth. We do have a town stop included with our activity bus as part of Loop 2 buses, because they're so full, we had to get some kids off the buses. We still have some concerns about that, because when football ends, we're probably going to need to continue that extra town stop, but John's been doing that as part of his, he just runs that real quick for us and does that for us. And then we're keeping a close eye on the buses, but several students are still walking. They are walking because the weather's nice and the buses are crowded. So what's that going to do to our buses when it gets colder? So we'll have to keep watching that. We may have to pull another town stop off of a bus and add to that. We'll see. Another item I wanted to note was the solar field out back, and I know we've talked about the placement of the solar field. And did I include in one of my weekly updates about the quote to have trees removed, or no? Did Eric talk about that, though?
Well, I think you already took them out, right?
No, we didn't.
Wasn't there some trees over there that you got the blessing to cut down that wasn't on our property?
Yeah, but I didn't get you guys' blessing, and I didn't want to move forward without you guys knowing, because they're not our trees. But if we want to take them down, obviously, we're going to have to pay for the cost. That cost is $4,100. Now, the advantage of doing it would be, my recommendation is that we do, and here's why. By taking those out, we can move that solar field 40 feet back, further back into the southwest corner of our property. And 40 feet may not sound like that much. I went out there the other day with Eric and John, and we actually looked. When we do our new addition and put that new service drive in, 40 feet further away from that service drive is a big deal. And it'll get us that much further away from that service drive. Yeah, so I wanted to run it by you guys though first, because I think you should know that they're not our trees, but the lady that owns them gave us permission to take them down. Thoughts?
We don't need to vote, because
No,
you have
you
the
don't.
authority to do
That's
it.
right.
We just need
I
to
just-
give you our blessing.
I
Right.
appreciate you bringing it to us, but yeah, I'm good with it. It's,
Do we have anything in writing that she says it's, I just, legally kind of like,
No, but I can get that, but I know the lady real well.
okay,
Yeah.
that would be my only concern, or, if there's liability.
Yeah.
It's Ellen Longsworth,
Yeah.
yeah, she lives in, where she lived, New
Out
Jersey,
east somewhere, I
Boston,
thought.
somewhere.
in the east.
Yeah, yeah.
Last time I
I
saw her
don't
was
see
at
a
her
problem
mom's
with that at
funeral.
all, but I
Somewhere in
can
yours.
look into that if you want. We checked with the farmer, that farms it for, and
It'd be worth it.
Good. And the only other thing I wanted to mention, just since the guys and everybody talked about the report card, not that I know that much about it, or I don't know anything about it yet, but BASA, our Buckeye Association of School Administrators, was asking superintendents to serve on different committees down at the state. And so I said I volunteered for a couple. And obviously, well, not obviously, but I got chosen. So one of them, the one committee that I'll be serving on, is about report cards. So I don't know what it's going to be about, or what influence we may have or not have, but it's a way to get communication to the state. So I think there's 3 meetings throughout the school year for the report card, and actually one of them is near the end of October, so I'll be running down to Columbus for a meeting just for the day. So they timed them so you don't have to go on the night before. I just go run down that day and come back. So just an FYI. Maybe I'll be able to share our concerns about different things. That's all I have.
Okay. Moving on to the consent agenda. Are there any items to be removed? We do have these two items that will be added. Seven. All right. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll move.
Steph, thank you.
I'll second.
Greg, thanks. Roll call, please.
Ms. Carrier,
Yes.
Iden,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Hazer,
Yes.
Methvin.
Yes.
The motion carried 5-0. All right. Could I have a motion to approve the minutes and financials?
I'll move.
Okay,
I'll
Jen?
second.
Okay, Jen, Galen. Minutes from the regular board meeting on August 13th, 2019. Recommend to waive the reading of the board minutes unless otherwise stated. The treasurer's report, cash reconciliations as of July and August 2019. Financial statements for July and August 2019. Accept the following donations: $250 from Ohio State Eagles Charity Fund for the Mini Aces Volleyball, $100 from Defiance County Agricultural Society for the Art Club. Any discussion? There is one item on the page 7, I think it is in the board minutes. Lauren Galen, did not like page 7. Go to your, the board minutes.
Oh.
Last month. And the name's misspelled too, but. So she'll get that. That was the only thing I noticed. Okay, any other discussion? All right. Mike, do you want to talk about the treasurer's report? Anything you need?
Okay, thank you. Well, it's obviously with the transition in the position of treasurer, there's 2 months there typically happening, but we have a reconciliation there for July and August. And then the financial statements for those 2 months. Those are kind of the reports I'm more used to reporting historically, and I know there's been some others in the past. I'm going to take a closer look at that, get those added as far as adding them into there, but that is something I haven't been able to delve into yet. But, so there's those 2 reports. Cash reconciliation, financial statements.
Okay, not to beat a dead horse. Cafeteria, what?
Well, one of the things is last month, there was a transfer to be made. It hadn't physically been done yet on the books. So I've got a note that I've already made to make sure that gets done, but it hasn't been done at this point. So that is total is what 19,000? Yeah, 10,089.60. So almost 19.
So,
Correction.
in June, it looked like it was gonna be 10 or less, so.
They turn things
Just something
around,
to
they
work
get
on. I mean,
better.
just, we just need to keep an eye on it and get things
Yeah.
moving, hopefully in the right direction.
Okay, anything else? All right, we'll all get a chance to look at those, and thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All righty, roll call, please.
Carrier,
Yes.
Iden.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Missouri.
Yes.
Methvin.
Yes.
Motion carried, 5-0. Okay, we'll do the addendum, goes on page 7, to minutes and financials. Do I have a motion to approve that?
I'll move.
Greg? Steph? Treasurers Report, approve the amended official certificate of estimated resources for fiscal year 2020 as presented. Total general fund resources, $13,328,157.45. And total resources for all funds of $20,050,676.71. Approve the fiscal year 2020 permanent appropriations as presented. Total general fund appropriations of $10,704,670.43. And total appropriations for all funds of $12,788,471.57. Any discussion? Do we know what that is?
Well, the appropriations are, permanent appropriations are required to be approved by the end of September. So I was racing around this weekend to try to get those numbers ready for you guys for today. They are fairly similar to some history, the estimated resources and the permanent appropriations. I haven't had enough opportunity yet to really delve into them and say, these are exactly the numbers I wanted to have at this point in time. But at the same time, it's always a process. Throughout the year, there's always going to be changes. There's going to be new revenues come in. There's going to be other expenditures that we want to take on, or maybe we're going to not spend money here and we're going to move it over there. So there likely can be amendments throughout the year, continue to be amendments on what's called the permanent. I will definitely, that is something I've always looked at very closely throughout the various funds, and will continue to do so.
Any other questions? All right, roll call, please.
Collier,
Yes.
Iden,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Azure,
Yes.
Methvin.
Yes.
Motion carried, 5-0. All right, employment of certified staff. Do I have a motion, please?
I'll move.
Jen? Anybody want a second? Recommend to approve Jade Mask as a Title I tutor for the 2019-20 school year for a maximum of 20 hours to be funded through federal Title I-A grant funds. Recommend to approve Stacy Wagner as a certified substitute for the 2019-2020 school year. Any discussion? So J Mask is just 20 days total. 20 hours total. At the beginning of the year.
Total for what?
Hours total, though. He's
For the
only
whole
done
year.
3.
Wow.
Oh, I see. Sorry, I thought it was all at the beginning of the year.
All right. Roll call, please.
Okay. Collier,
Abstain.
Iden,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Azure, Methvin.
Motion carried, 4, 1 abstention, 0 against. All right, may I have a motion for the employment of classified staff? Steph? Thank you. Recommend to approve Mariah Stevenson as a kindergarten jumpstart teaching assistant at a rate of $15 per hour from August 12th through August 16th, 2019. Recommend to approve the resignation of Elizabeth Knight as custodian effective August 19th, 2019. Recommend to approve the resignation from John Adams as afternoon route bus driver effective August 23rd, 2019. Recommend issuing a 1-year contract to Laura Wooford as a bus driver, 1.75 hours per day, with 0 years experience for the 2019-2020 school year. Recommend to approve Stacy Wagner as a classified substitute for the 2019-2020 school year. Any discussion?
So the John Adams, he's just replacing this.
He has,
And he's doing every day that.
he's still doing the activity with us every day. That's part of his salary. So salary spot.
Okay. Any others? All right, roll call, please.
Carrier,
Abstain.
Iden,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Missouri,
Yes.
Methvin.
Yes.
The motion carried 4-0 with one abstention. I need a motion to approve services and agreements. That was Craig. Thank you. Okay, and Jen? Recommend to approve Thomas Taylor as interim CFO treasurer on an as-needed basis beginning September 3rd, 2019. Rate of service is $60 per hour, up to 40 hours per week, and will receive mileage reimbursement at a rate of 50 cents per mile. Recommend to approve payment to Cotterman and Company Incorporated, the sum of $35,990.10 for contractual services for the roof upgrade. Any discussion?
It's great having Tom here. He did a lot of prep, ready for Tom.
Yes.
He, his last day is Friday.
Yeah, Tom did a wonderful job.
Good job, good. So what's the roof? Is that essentially,
The insurance didn't
This
cover it.
here, what this price gives us, I think I explained that in my update, but it's been quite a while ago. That gives us a 20-year warranty on the entire flat roof floor. In particular, the big here, because that part was not replaced. But by doing what we did, whatever they did, we were, and this cost gives us a 20-year warranty for the entire roof, flat roof. Gets everything in line. And there was some concerns, Eric, I think, spoke about that, possibly, as that, the roofs dry out. And in a couple of years, if there was some damage to the kitchen, and as it dries out, this will take care of that. But the roof is all done, with no leaks. And we did not lose the elementary gym floor, so that's a good thing.
Yes, for sure.
No, perfect.
I will say perfect, but close, yeah.
Yeah.
It's really nice, it looks really nice, yeah.
Anything else? All right, roll call, please.
Carrier,
yes.
Eden,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Missouri,
Yes.
Methvin.
Motion carried 5-0. Okay, let's do the addendum. I need a motion to approve the addendum to services and agreements.
I'll move.
Second.
Craig and Steph, thank you. Recommend to approve a service agreement with Northwest Ohio Educational Service Center for paraprofessional services from August 15th, 2019 through June 15th, 2020. Any discussion? Paraprofessional services for,
Either the preschool or the MD unit.
all right. Anything else? All right, roll call, please.
Carrier,
Yes.
Iden, Jones,
Yes.
Missouri, Methvin.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. All right. Can we have a motion, please, for, a motion to approve the other business items?
So move.
Steph and Galen, thank you. Recommend to approve a resolution stating that the board has reviewed and affirms the language in Neola Policy 2413, Career Advising. This policy still meets the needs of our students. Recommend to approve in-state and out-of-state tuition rate for the 2019-2020 school year. Recommend to amend the adult school lunch price from $3.50 to $3.70 effective September 3rd, 2019. Any discussion?
I want to add that I've mostly been eating cafeteria and it's going well. They do a great job, good food. I don't know if all the kids think so, but I'm convinced. Yes, Susie did. There is a lot of entertainment. And there's been a lot of young kids come up to me and say hello. So,
Nice. Good. Love that. All right, roll call, please.
Farrier,
Yes.
Iden,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Missouri,
Yes.
Methvin.
Motion carried, 5-0. Do we have any old business? The road we covered already. Anything else? All right, discussion. Change the October board meeting to October 21st, change the November board meeting to November 18th. Those were things we'd already kind of agreed upon, but for the press and news releases, we've gone to the third Monday at 5:30 PM. Okay?
Yeah. I guess we're all okay with that, right? I think I should mention that then.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Are we, yes, how are we making sure people know? Tell me honest, when we moved that one stop sign, I picked the kids up, this was, last year, the year before, and I pulled up, and stopped, and I was getting ready to go, and all of a sudden this high school kid comes flying through, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I didn't know they pulled the stop sign, so as long as we somehow make sure people know, maybe there's a sign that says, you know what, they're not stopping
Or
anymore.
yield.
something.
The traffic, typically, Craig, the traffic, with people coming out of the parent pickup loop into the main drive, they typically alternate or take turns. Not everybody does, so you need to look both ways
Well, yeah, but
before you pull out.
When you knew there was a stop sign there, all of a sudden it was gone. A lot of people do alternate, but
There's
There's
some
no
people that
time.
don't.
Yeah.
There's some people that do not alternate, so you just need to make sure that they stop. No, because I wanted to make sure that I spoke about it publicly first.
And that's why I was just gonna say, we can mention it on Thursday, and they can
Yeah.
tweet and
Yeah,
put it out on the app and all
yeah.
that kind of
But
stuff.
the stop sign to the main drive will get removed. So, that doesn't mean you don't stop. That means you look both ways as you would pulling out of any other business like Schmidt's or Parker or any other place, McDonald's. There aren't stop signs there either, and this should help with traffic. Another thing we think will help. I have checked this out with the town and our school attorney, and we're okay to take that sign down.
So
we-
what's the communication plan look like then? Craig?
Well, for Jeff, I think he could do an announcement or something for the high school kids to drive, as far as the kids, don't you think, Jeff? And
Jen mentioned the Facebook thing. To me, that'd be a great way to,
We can
put
put that
it
on
out there.
Facebook.
Or an instant alert.
Or that's
Remind?
notice in the app.
Yeah.
I think we have enough social media routes that if we do that.
let's work on something together before we remove the sign tomorrow. And send that out.
Any other discussion items? All right. Anybody out there want to address the board? All righty. Okay. May I have a motion to go into executive session for item number 1? Sarah? Jen, thank you. Roll call, please.
Farrier,
Yes.
Iden, Jones,
Yes.
Missouri, Methvin.
Motion carried 5-0. There will be no action following the executive session. Okay?